Just because someone's thin doesn't mean they're automatically healthy. We're on to part 2 of the health crisis in modern day USA, which is the lack of activity that Americans are getting. Whether you are thin or overweight, young or old, male or female, able-bodied or not, movement during the day, each and every day, is so vitally important to your health, to your quality of life, to how you feel in your body when you do get older, as we all do. It's inevitable to age, but how we age can be altered by how much movement we get during the day-to-day. As I was researching this, I came across one article in particular that just went into how we've gotten to this point of inactivity in everyday life. And pretty much since the beginning of time, we have attempted to develop new technologies to make the day-to-day tasks less labor-intensive, more efficient, and also consequently more sedentary. So while those advances have provided many benefits to our society, it's also led to a substantial reduction in just the amount of general movement and physical activity. It's not just about the obesity crisis that is going on right now, because you can be thin and be unhealthy as well if you're not eating the right nutrition, if you're not moving, if you're not, or if you are indulging in certain vices, smoking, vaping, drinking to excess, indulging in ultra processed foods, eating too much sugar. Just because someone's thin doesn't mean they're automatically healthy. As I mentioned in the previous video, only 12% of adults in the United States in modern day USA can be considered physically healthy. I came across one video in particular where a lady is breaking down how much being overweight can hinder you on a day-to-day basis.
You're not fat because you lack discipline. You're fat because you don't understand how much being fat is a detriment to your life. You haven't done enough research to learn how much of an impact your weight is having on every aspect of your life. Your finances, your dating, your friendships, everything that you do. If you knew how much being fat was hindering you and holding you back, you would have lost the weight by now. And you can blame this on society being superficial, or you can say, well, it's not fair that you have to be skinny and attractive and this and that in order to get opportunities. But that's just how it is. A lot of y'all have not lost weight because you haven't fully grasped and digested the fact that in order to get the dream life that you want, 99% of the time, you're going to have to be fit, healthy, and attractive. In order to get most things that you truly desire, that are, that you put on a pedestal, you're going to have to become your best self to get those things.
Obviously, she's referring to overweight people in particular, but the same can be said about anyone who is unhealthy. You are actively missing out on opportunities that you could have if you choose to be unhealthy. And in this case in particular, if you choose not to be active on a day-to-day basis and just be content with where you're at, then you'll remain where you're at. And again, it's not just about weight management. Activity each day improves your mind, improves your bone density, which is especially important for women because the majority of women suffer from osteoporosis after a certain age. And it improves your metabolism, your overall health, your energy levels, your sleep. All of that can improve by just incorporating movement in your day-to-day routine. And there are a million and one excuses that we can make why we can't exercise. And it really does come down to what we're prioritizing in life. Yes, many of us have to work so many hours, and many of us have responsibilities when we're at home. But I guarantee if you incorporated even just 30 minutes of exercise in your daily routine, you would feel so much better. You would feel less stressed. You would feel more in control of your life and the quality that comes from it. Another reason to get exercise is because it helps with anti-aging. Alex Hutchinson, a very, very good author, says the important thing is that thanks to epidemiological studies, we know that exercise is the most powerful anti-aging tactic we've got. So how about instead of spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on cosmetic surgeries and anti-wrinkle serums, whatever it may be, how about you just spend time each day to improve not just your current quality of life, but also the longevity of your life and the quality over your lifespan. Overall, it's 23.7% of adults that say they are active on a regular basis. I know we live in a society where everything can be bought, whether it is a new outfit or a new face. Even that can be bought if you have enough money. The thing that we should remember, though, is that those are just really reflecting on the outside and what people can see. Aging is more than just wrinkles and, saggy skin. And in fact, Nathan Labrazer, who is a professor of physical medicine and rehabilitation at the Mayo Clinic, said exercise is the best defense and repair strategy that we have to counter different drivers of aging. So not only will you look younger for longer, even though you still may have wrinkles, it also allows you to be healthy on the inside, which in my opinion is much more important. Some things are inevitable on the outside. It comes down to a lot of genetics and how we've lived our lives and things like that. Granted, we can absolutely improve our outer appearance in a lot of ways, but what I feel like is more important, but also often overlooked, is how we are on the inside, how our hearts are, how our brains are, how our lungs are, how our bones are. As I was getting more into my research on this, one stat that really caught my eye is that between 1989 and 2009, the number of households with a computer and internet access increased from 15% to 69%. So it's not just that we have created these processes and improve these processes so much that we don't really have to be physically active anymore, or as physically active as previously. We also have a constant distraction. And the thing is, watching a TV show or playing a video game or playing on your phone, none of those are bad things. But again, doing it in excess and choosing to do that over, say, go for a walk or go meet up with some friends to play whatever game, it really does show our priorities, and it's not prioritizing our health. We know some of the obvious health risks to an inactive lifestyle: obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stroke, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers like colon, breast, and uterine specifically, osteoporosis, along with increased feelings of depression and anxiety. And again, a lot of modern day Americans work remote jobs where seemingly it's easy to get up and move around, but that's not always the case. Probably the best part about, diving into these topics and doing the research is coming across some really, really interesting and informative videos. And this is one in particular that I came across this time.
Hello, and welcome to another Health Essentials podcast. I'm John Horton, your host. If someone spends hours a week on a treadmill, in a weight room, or riding a bike, you'd probably consider them healthy and fit. But what if that person also qualified as having obesity? We're going to work out this issue today with cardiologist Leslie Cho. Dr. Cho is one of the many experts at Cleveland Clinic who join us weekly to help us better understand how our bodies work. So with that, let's take a closer look at the complicated question about BMI, weight, fitness, and your heart. Now, weight and body fat are pretty sensitive issues to talk about, but I know they're pretty critical when it comes to our overall health and heart health in particular. I'm guessing that you tackle these topics quite a bit with your patients.
In America, we often associate weight and sort of moral failing, which I really dislike. There's so much science now about weight and why we become overweight with time. It's more than just lack of willpower.
So, Dr. Cho, I know a lot of us look in the mirror and we see that we might have a few extra pounds, but we kind of wave it off because we exercise a lot and we feel fit. But I mean, are we fooling ourselves when we do that? I mean, is it possible to be fit and fat, to use I guess a common but not quite PC phrasing?
I mean, BMI is a very good measure of our obesity, whether we're underweight, overweight, or obese, or truly morbidly obese is what the medical term is. I do think that BMI needs to be in together with other things like waist to hip ratio and things like that to really give a true idea of someone's weight and whether it's in a obesity zone or not. In as far as whether you can be overweight and still be fit, for sure there are people who are avid exercisers and they're overweight. But the problem is when you follow these people for many, many years, what the studies have consistently shown is that for a long period of time, if they maintain their obesity, they tend to have high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, they have sleep apnea, they go on to have diabetes, and of course, arthritis. But also, very importantly, they have increased risk for cancer.
And of course, we here in America love to live in the moment and in the present and not look forward too much and definitely not look in the past. But that can lead to misconceptions. Like she just said, in short term, it can be perceived as someone being fit, but over time, when people maintain their weight at the level that is, either overweight or obese, even if they are active every single day, it's still going to be a strain on their bodies. And it still will affect them in the long run.
So even though we could be fit, if when we're overweight, the long-term implication of obesity, unfortunately, is not good for our body.
Well, and in particular, if you do have these extra pounds on you, and even though you're working out a lot and you're doing things, it sounds like you're just putting a lot of extra strain and stress on your body, and in particular your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, for sure, you do definitely put a strain on your heart. And I really think that it has nothing to do with fat shaming or body shaming or whatever. Some of the trials and the studies in the past have been confounded because they follow people for a very short period of time. But when you follow people for a longer period of time, which is what we're really talking about, because you're living a whole long life, hopefully, being overweight for a long period of time, unfortunately, can do damage to your heart, increase your risk for cancer, as well as causing you joint problems.
There's some realities that if you have this extra fat or extra pounds, you're just putting this added stress on your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Being overweight really is more than just willpower. And I think that's been the problem of even physicians, because we've often, said to patients, hey, just eat less or exercise more or whatever we said. And the other sort of important thing we don't think about or talk about is that, there are people who genuinely, their metabolism has slowed down because of age, because of menopause, because of whatever, and they're having difficulty. So it's more than just willpower that makes someone overweight.
So when we talk about kind of the fitness aspect, obviously, if you're fit, you're better off. I'm guessing is the answer, no matter what.
I mean, yes, it's if you're fit, you're better off. If you exercise regularly, you're definitely better off. If you are thin, but you don't exercise and you're a couch potato, that's not good, obviously. So exercising is good, not just good for the heart, but it's good for the mind too, and our mood. And I think the message I really want to get out there is we want you to exercise because it's good for the heart, it's good for the brain, it's good for our souls. We want you to try to be normal weight or that BMI of normal range because consistently that has shown that when you are in that normal range, your cholesterol level is better, your blood pressure is better, your risk of diabetes is significantly lowered. And so whenever we can to try to make good choices about our diet and our lifestyle. And the reason we want to do this in 2023, the great news is that heart disease is preventable. It's preventable for 90% of our patients. Can you imagine? Isn't that amazing? Regardless of
If you can get 90% of anything, it's good.
yeah, it's regardless of your family history, regardless of where you live, 90% of heart disease is preventable. And we do that by, eating right, exercising.
It always comes down to, seems like eating a little healthier and exercising a little more. And it gets very difficult, as you said, to try to like square away what's what. So as we're kind of looking at this, and if you're somebody who, you work out regularly and you exercise a lot and you're feeling a little more fit, yet you still have some of those extra pounds, maybe, a little extra fat in the midsection, things like that. What sort of things should you try to do to reduce your long-term health risk?
So there's been a lot of data about, what makes you lose weight and what maintains weight loss. And the data is pretty clear. It is calorie restriction that makes you lose weight. Exercise maintains weight loss. But I think, any exercise is good. I mean, honestly, when patients of mine tell me they are exercising and one of their exercises, they get off the elevator one floor before and they walk up, I'm like, wonderful, that's great. We park further away. Just
any little bit helps.
Yeah, incorporating that extra activity throughout the day is very important. I think, for most Americans, it's important, we all kind of know what to eat, but really truly focusing on portion control. That's critical.
Moderation. That's all it is. Get a food scale, get cups, get smaller plates or bowls. There are so many tools out there that make it easier not to eat too much. And again, it's not going to be fun initially. And when your body is used to eating as much as you usually do and being so inactive, every step toward a healthier you, a more active, a more food conscious you is going to be difficult, but it does pay off in the end and it does get easier.
A lot of our empty calories come from drinks, like coffee that's mostly not coffee, but mostly cream and, things like this that are dessert, mostly dessert, not really coffee. Alcohol is an empty calorie. Fruit juices, there are lots of stuff out there. We just have to become, I think, a little bit mindful.
Before we say our goodbyes, is there anything else you'd like to add when it comes to, I guess, managing your weight, your exercise routine, diet, and just helping your heart?
It's really not about the culture or the number on your dress size or your dress shirt or your pant size. It's about, living a long time, living with a high quality of life without heart attack or stroke or dementia.
So what I surmised from Dr. Cho is that yes, you can be overweight and also work out often. But in the long run, if you maintain the weight, then it will just postpone the health consequences. Dropping the weight is equally as important as getting in the activity, because over time, the extra pounds will take a toll on our bodies. Come up with some creative solutions to incorporate more activity into our daily lives. One of the things that Dr. Cho mentioned specifically was either, just take the stairs completely or park your car farther from wherever you're going. Even the extra couple hundred steps you get in by doing that improves your activity on a daily basis, and it does add up. And some of these just come down to very self-conscious things, whether it be not wanting to look uncoordinated or, like a newbie in the gym, not wanting to sweat in front of others, or feeling like you're too old or you're too overweight. Those are all things that we really need to overcome. We need to realize that when we're doing anything active, we're doing that to improve ourselves. We're not doing it for anyone else. Other people may benefit from it. If you have kids, they'll definitely benefit from your example, along with hopefully you incorporating them into your exercise routine. One of my favorite things to see is a mom with her 10 to 11-year-old in the gym working out with them, whether it's one of the machines or on the treadmill. It doesn't matter what. I just think it's so wonderful when a parent takes the time to build that habit in their kids, because it's a lifelong habit that's being established, and that kid won't associate the gym or activity as something negative. They'll think of it as something positive that they got to do with mom or dad or brother or sister, whoever it is, but they'll associate it in a positive way. I think if we thought more about that and less about the time wasting activities that we do on a daily basis, watching TV, playing on our phones, then finding that motivation would be a lot easier. I think we as modern day Americans are so focused and distracted by whatever happens to be right in front of us at the moment, that we forget that our daily decisions will impact our lives. And like Dr. Cho said, hopefully our long lives. But if we just focused more on the quality and the impact each one of our decisions has, it would be much easier to find that motivation. I think a really important question to ask ourselves is, how do I want to feel in 10, 20, 30 years, depending on how old you are? Do I want to still be able to walk around without achy knees, without arthritis, without losing my breath? Because that is possible, but it's the things we're doing now that will have the effect 20, 30 years down the road. Prioritizing just being more active on a daily basis is vital for our quality of life. And it won't happen overnight. You're not going to be able to suddenly run 10 miles overnight when you are not active. But if that's your goal, it's something that you can work up to. I admire anyone who prioritizes their activity on a daily basis, whether that be in the gym or out on a walk or out on a bike ride or doing whatever it is. It may not seem possible or, again, pleasant at the moment, but as you get used to having it incorporated into your daily life and making it a priority, you realize how much of a difference it makes and how good you feel. Modern day USA constantly discourages physical activity by providing us with distractions, providing us with the newest phones or VR headsets where it seems like you're outside or feels like you're outside, and endless streaming platforms and video games and so many other options that encourage us to be physically inactive. And so it feels abnormal to be physically active when it shouldn't. So embrace the abnormality and incorporate activity into your daily lives. Prioritize your inside as much as your outside. And just remember, every little bit of extra movement will make a difference in your body and in your mind. And that's that on that.